Am I the asshole for refusing to buy my nephew a birthday cake after my sister mom shamed me? I celebrated the 4th with my in-laws. They had a crab bake. I have a 2-year-old and he's not picky at all and really enjoyed eating the crab.
My L got my son a bib and little crab hat. My mom and sister have always been judgmental about my husband's family lifestyle.
I ate most grilled cheese and cut up hot dogs at that age. I was also always forced to order from the kids' menu past the time I should have in order to save money.
My mom had the idea of children's food versus adult food, so I wasn't allowed to eat anything she would call fancy.
My husband was brought up different and he was allowed to eat whatever his parents eat.
His mom made one meal for all.
So he could have steak, crab, and lobster if the adults were.
My mother-in-law took many cute videos of my toddler because it is her first grandchild and she was having a kick feeding him crab. Both had an amazing time. My mother-in-law posted her videos and my sister shared them saying how it wrong to spoil toddler that age and posted it in her mom group for thrifty moms shaming me.
My mom also had a lot of comments about it and blocked my husband and I from seeing it. She did not block my mother-in-law and she saw it and was angry at my sister for speaking about her grandbaby like that. My sister and her child has a birthday coming up next week and my husband refuses to or let me take out son. I decided not to go either after this. My mom and sister thinks I should get over it. The thing is my husband and I was paying for the cake because both my mom and sisters are broke. He is now refusing to do that or get my nephew anything. My sister took to blasting us on social media again, calling me an ungrateful gold digger, and I will get what's coming when my husband cheats on me and leaves me like men like him always do. Not the asshole got it. Your broke-ass mother and immature sister who can't afford a cake for her child's birthday are jealous of your in-laws. Send something for your nephew and ditch the party. This poor child has nothing to do with his grandmother and mother's egregious behavior. He's just a little boy. As a gift suggestion? Crab cakes? Not the asshole your sister publicly shamed you for your baby eating crab. That's wild and just further proves Facebook is a toxic cesspool. You are well within your rights to limit contact including this B-Day, but it'd still send the kid a gift. And have you mom and sister always been mean nasty nut jobs? Ignore them. Why care about people that treat you this way? Not the asshole. You and your husband are in agreement. They can bake the nephew a cake or come up with money to buy one. There seems to be a lot of envy on your mom and sister side and it is destroying your relationship. Not the asshole. Your mother-in-law has the right idea. Feed them a wide variety of foods when they're young and you won't wind up with a picky adult who won't eat anything but chicken nuggets and fries. My mother-in-law did just the opposite. Brother-in-law was gifted a crate of lobsters and brought over 4 of them. We'd left the girls with the ILs while we went house hunting. Mother-in-law put 2 of the lobsters aside to eat the next day and made my children eat hot dogs while watching mother-in-law and father-in-law chow down on one of their favorite foods. She repeated it the next day. Am I the asshole for telling my dad he's lucky mom chose to stay with despite his insufferable behavior? So my F20 mom and my dad recently got into an argument and they haven't been talking ever since. My dad for as long as I can remember has been misogynistic. He'd always downplay mom's feelings and emotions and would go as far as to say really offensive things about her while there were guests over at our house. His biggest fear is mom making important decisions or people thinking that he's not the head of the family. He also continuously made comments about how women should do all the housework, that mom never worked, have been doing all the chores and taking care of 3 children on her own and also looking after dad's relatives. Anyways, their fight went as follows. Dad and my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, were sitting at the table and Dad was making some snarky remarks about my sister's child. Mom got angry and told him, if you're done eating and don't like your granddaughter's company that much, then just leave. He got furious because he was humiliated in front of another man. They haven't been talking since and he said he'd never forgive her. Drama queen behavior, I know. Today they fought about it again. He told her to foe and repeated all the offensive things. Mom got really upset, started crying and left. She also has a tendency to faint when she's overwhelmed. It's a medical condition, which we try to prevent, but he didn't care. So he started saying offensive things about mom to me and I was like, you know you're in the wrong, right?
It's so stupid to blow this out of proportion, and you're lucky mom stayed with you despite your absolutely insufferable behavior when she could have and should have left like your 2 previous wives did.
He told me I was the asshole.
Reddit, am I the asshole? Wow, not the asshole. What a stand-up guy, your dad.
The way he treats your mom is deplorable.
It shouldn't fall to the children to get in between their squabbling parents, but I agree that she needed the backup and you were brave and kind enough to provide it.
Also, who the hell complains about their grandchildren?
Even if they're total brats, just hand them back to the parent, smile and say how cute.
Not the asshole, but it's about damn time you and your mom get up and leave.
He's never going to change, ever.
Not the asshole. I would suggest you look into counseling for your mother. She needs help, and it seems like she would not leave your father. She needs to be taught how to assert herself, and how to have boundaries. She also needs to learn that her husband's behavior is not her fault. She should not be trying to please him, but instead he should be trying to please her.
Not the asshole. No one is thinking about whether your dad is the head of the household.
All they're seeing is an asshole.
Not the asshole, sounds like you told him the truth and he didn't like it. He's the asshole here, and every person knows there's times to hold your tongue in order to keep the peace.
I said person cause this goes for everybody, men and women alike.
He should have known saying something negative about someone else while having guests over was a mistake. He acted like a child when someone basically called him out on it. Not the asshole. Your dad's been misogynistic and offensive for years, and it's caused a lot of pain. Bringing up his past marriages might have been harsh, but it's understandable given his behavior.
Sometimes, you need to call out the truth, even if it hurts.
Just make sure to support your mom and try to handle things constructively if you can. Am I the asshole for not caring that my son's feelings are hurt and not consoling him? I'm a 34-year-old male, married to my wife, a 32-year-old female, for just over 2 years.
We've been together for 6 years and have a great life together.
My wife has a 13-year-old son from a previous relationship who lives with us, and I've been in his life since he was 8.
I have had dreadlocks for the past 15 years, and naturally, my son wanted to emulate me by getting locks of his own, which he's had for 5 years. Although I strive to be a good father, my son is very spoiled. Whenever I try to instill some discipline, I face resistance from him, his mother, and his grandparents. As a result, I've resigned myself to giving him what he wants, figuring there's no point in trying to discipline him if no one else supports it. He's not a disrespectful child, but he's not as respectful as he could be and is very spoiled. Recently, some kids at his school have been bullying him about his hair, trying to convince him to cut it. His grandfather had already told him not to let the kids bully him into cutting his hair. One day, while we were around some of his friends, he expressed a desire to cut his locks. I reminded him of his grandfather's words and told him he couldn't cut it. In front of his friends, he called his grandmother, asked if he could cut his hair, and she said yes. He then looked at me and said, "I bet I cut my hair." I responded that we had spent too much money on his hair and he shouldn't let anyone bully him into cutting it. A week later, my wife asked me again if our son could cut his hair. Frustrated, I said it was his hair and he could do whatever he wanted, but reminded her that his grandfather had said no. Ultimately, he got his hair cut. As you can guess, he now regrets it and wants to reattach his locks. My wife told me about his frustration, but I feel no sympathy because I warned him he wouldn't like it, yet he did it anyway. Here's why I think I might be the My wife expressed that I need to be more comforting to him and sensitive to his feelings because this is a hard lesson for him. I responded by saying that I told him it is just hair and it will grow back, but I am not consoling him or having any pity or sympathy towards him because of the disrespect I received when he chose to call his grandmother in front of me and attempt to shame me in front of his friends. For this, I will not console a 13-year-old who had no respect for me. I don't care that his feelings are hurt because I warned him and, in the end, he got exactly what he wanted. It's not my fault he doesn't like it. I tried to warn him, and now he has to deal with the consequences. She is upset because I don't have more sympathy for him. Dude. He should have been able to cut his hair in the first place without all these people telling him what to do. And while you certainly don't need to reattach his locks, you can be a little bit comforting. I've had haircuts I regret before. It's always a shock for a few days, but you get used to it, and it grows back. I had this same thing with my daughter after a haircut the other day. And I will admit, after she had brought it up 25 times in an hour, I told her to stop obsessing.
I'm not perfect, unfortunately. But first I talked it through with her like I just said.
Info: why did you get any say on his hair?
Why these grandparents?
Info: do you want to be this kid's father?
Because while being a father means you have to teach hard lessons sometimes, you're also there to guide them through the tough lessons. You've kind of abandoned him by showing that you just don't care.
Also, you're taking your issues with your wife, her parents out on a 13-year-old.
You are the asshole. This is a child. He cannot embarrass you in front of his friends.
You are a 30-something-year-old man.
You need to act way more compassionately towards this literal kid.
It's also his hair. It should nt mean that much to you.
Your kid is getting bullied and you show no compassion or empathy?
Wholly overstepping stepparent. Your stepson wants his hair cut. It's his hair. He can decide what hairstyle he wants.
Every kid goes through a bad haircut phase.
You are the asshole. Am I the asshole for ruining a family vacation because I don't want to move into my parents' basement?
I am 22, going on 23, in my 5th year of my undergrad, and my family likes to do long vacations every summer in their camper. They were traveling all summer and we met up with them, and from the moment we met up with them my dad especially has not talked to me or been very nice towards me.
He had his own share of stuff that happened on the trip with his truck, which is what I initially thought the issue was.
After a few nights my mom brought up how they wanted to renovate their basement into a 1-bedroom apartment, partly so I can move in without rent, partly to raise the value of their house. This year I had many problems with apartments, having to move 3 times because of roommates, ex-girlfriends, and/or landlord issues, which led to my parents trying to convince me it would be best for me to move into their basement. With my financial issues, they pitched it as a way for me to save money and stress. My brother has been following every piece of advice they give him and he is obviously favored because of this, on top of his major being one that will start higher than I will probably ever end up with. I'm going to be a music teacher. I also had gotten caught smoking weed a few years ago, which I still do and don't tell them, but I feel like if I tell them anything about my life it immediately is followed by advice I didn't ask for or an opinion I didn't ask for. I told my family I didn't want to move into their basement because of the amount of fighting that happens whenever we live together, on top of me wanting to live independently as I feel like I've always been reliant on my parents and in their shadows. My dad was my high school science teacher, so I never felt like I was able to fully define who I was in school cause of that, another major issue we had back in the day. Long story short, now my parents thinks I'm being stupid for not doing the more financially smart thing and moving back in with them, when I have a full-time job as a manager of a restaurant on top of going to school.
It's stressful but not as bad for my mental health as me living with them full-time. I'm in a bit of credit card debt but nothing a few months of work couldn't fix. Now I just feel like no matter what I say to them I will be the asshole of the family for not taking their charity when I just want to live my own life and figure out who I am outside of them.
They still so things like track my phone and refuse to let me have my own bank account, and are still trying to pay for my school, but I feel like no matter what I do from here I will be the asshole if I don't follow their advice.
Not the asshole, but I'm struggling to understand something.
If you are living on your own and paying your own bills, why are you letting them run your life?
And they can pit in an apartment and raise the value of their house without you living there. Unless you're expected to pay for this renovation. Per your other comments, what are you paying them for anyway? My advice: take 360 off your phone, now. Open your own account today and transfer all your money to it. Just because your parents say you can't transfer money to them doesn't make it so. Info: how are they able to track your phone or not allow you to open your bank account?
Why is it taking you 5 years to get an undergrad degree? Why have you had so many problems with your past living arrangements?
Not the asshole, but I've read all of you comments thus far. Do not move in with them, they don't need any more leverage. Second, open another bank account and keep the old one.
You can transfer money to your old account for them to get.
Either take Life 360 off your phone or go get your own phone plan.
You're trying, you're doing good.
It's a lot to take on, but take it one step at a time to untangle yourself. Think of this like taking out a knot. You can either get some scissors and cut or you pull it little bit out at a time. Not the asshole. You're a 22-year-old man with a full-time job and your parents won't let you have your own bank account? Maybe there are some missing reasons why they are, or at least want to be, so controlling of you.
They're not offering you charity. They're offering to figuratively chain you up in their basement for your benefit whether you need it or not.
Hard decision.
You could save up enough money in a year to move hundreds of miles away for a job after you graduate. But if you get a local job, don't be surprised if they demand you live in the basement till your own kids graduate college.
You don't have your own bank account? On top of the not the asshole, WTF?
I didn't think it was that awful, although I still sided with you when you said you guys don't get along and you know it. Until you said they track your phone and control your finances.
Way to bury the lead. You are 22 years old. You do not need their permission to open your own bank account. Live your life independently.
It sounds like living at home is not worth the aggravation.
Not the asshole.